It's Wednesday, and that sun's nice and bright and warm, and it's blinding almost. I can barely see myself on the screen, even with my glasses on. The only bad thing about it is, I think Friday we're supposed to get a really cold snap, and it's going to freeze everything. Now, this is unlike almost any video that I've made so far. A friend of mine's uncle shared a post on Facebook this morning, and I figured I'd share. Now, the only thing I can really share is possibly a picture that I'm going to use for my cover, and then some information I'm going to stick in the, I guess, information bar down below. There's been people from Indiana, I wouldn't say all parts of southern Indiana, but I've met a few people off and on from like as far as Indianapolis that's come down here just to see this cemetery that I'm going to talk about. And now there's a lot of hype about this cemetery. There's a lot of unmarked graves. There's a lot of children's graves in there. But the name of the cemetery that we all call it, that we know from down here, is called the Gates of Hell. Now, a long time ago, what we call the Gates of Hell used to have this huge wrought iron fence around it. And these wrought iron gates were like 14, 15 foot tall, double swinging gates. And the cool thing about it is if you pulled your car up semi close to these gates, the gates would actually slowly open up by themselves. And then once you backed your car away, the gates would slowly close by themselves. And me and about 6 other friends one time, we spent all day long in the daytime and nighttime and everything else down there trying to find a sensor switch that would react to your vehicle pulling up that would make those gates open or close. We could not find nothing. I mean, not a trace. No wiring, no box, no connectors, no junctions, nothing. And we even took a metal detector and went across the gravel part of the, I guess, the roadway or parking lot going into it. And we found a lot of beer tops and can bottles and stuff like that. And there was no indicator of a device that was like no electronic magnet pad or anything like that which would make it open and close. And somewhere between 2000 and 2005, I can't remember which garbage company it was, but there was a couple of drivers went down there on their lunch break, got pretty damn stoned and smashed, and I guess, I can't remember if they backed into it or drove into it, but they were in the wrong setting of the truck, and they smashed the gates to the ground, tore up all kinds of fencing, tore up a couple of gravestones on top of it, and yeah, they got fired bigger and shit, and fined and put in jail, and you name it. Yeah, it wasn't a good ordeal. The cemetery's still there. Some people still go to occasionally, but there's been people like paranormal people come out here, do investigations on the place, and the few times I've been out there, one of the most memorable, now this is before the age of cell phones and before the age of like video cameras like this and everything else. It was a foggy night, and this was like the perfect Halloween setting. There was if my hand here is the ground, about 3 feet off the ground there's a layer of fog. Now this layer of fog was between 1 maybe 2 inches thick. 1 to 2 feet thick, my fault, not inches. And then anything above you could see everything across the fog. You could see everything plain as day. and then if you kind of squat it down, there's a huge chunk of fog, and then below it you could see everything across the ground. Of course, you had a flashlight, and you'd shine across, and there'd be like ground fog, big old thick section, and then fog up, it'd be clear again. And man, it was so trippy, and it was cool as hell. And but that's the kind of stuff that goes on out there, things like that, and that's why a lot of people, you know, refer to it as being haunted and everything else. Now, my opinion, all graveyards are haunted, but it just depends on what people think up here and how they think and what they think they're going to see, and everything else depends on what the actuality is. One of my most comical, and this was my all-time most comical events there. We get your drink. There was a group of people, I can't remember what part of Kentucky they were from. They weren't out-of-staters. But they were like, I can't believe it, there's devil worshippers out there on the other side of that field. And I was like, what are you talking about? And of course we walked on the back cap of the cemetery, which there's a huge rock. And if you walk around this huge rock, and it kind of wraps around the back of the cemetery a little bit, and there is a small cave down there. But if you stand on top of the rock, you can oversee probably, I don't know, 15 or 20 acres going across this like little valley area. And it was during the fall, so there was no leaves on the trees, and you know, everything was kind of visible. And they kept some of these devil worshippers out there. And as we got there and stood on top of the rock, I started laughing. I about died. I almost fell off the rock. I was laughing so much. And the reason for it was, they weren't devil worshippers. It was the Klan out there having a rally. Had a great big ass burning cross. They're all in their white hoods and gowns and everything. And these people were convinced they were devil worshippers. I was thinking, man, you all are sheltered as hell. You all can't tell the difference between the Klan and a satanic group. Y'all were some screwed up people. But it was kind of comical. Now, you gotta think now, out there in this neck of the woods, this is like BFE, like deliverance country. And people out there are nice, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of nice people out in that area, that county, of the county, not that, but that county's my county. But there are some people that live a double life, and those are some of the people that live a double life. There's most of the people out there will treat you with open arms and open respect, but like I said, there's some out there that live a double life, and I'm not going to make everybody out there to be a bunch of assholes and everything else, because that's not how it is. A small handful out there could be a bunch of assholes, but you know, it is what it is. It's life. You just, you know, take it with a grain of salt and you go on with it. But I am going to share an article on YouTube on some information from it, and if the picture I have will load up on there and it'll actually fit, it's going to be my cover screen. So, and there's a few people like Jerry that's down in Florida that's from this area, and of course he'll see it, and it'll be like a reminiscing for him, because like he told me, it's been 25 years since he's been up here. So you know, this cemetery's been going on for decades. I mean, I heard about it when I first moved down here, and that was in the early 80s. But we just, well, at my age at that time, didn't have a vehicle, and my mom sure shit weren't going to take us out there to the gates of hell, because it's a kind of like a teenage party place, and a lot of promiscuous things have gone out there in that neck of the woods, and a few other things, yada yada yada. But I'm going to let you know right now as well, KSP patrols that quite often now. And if you don't know what KSP is, it's Kentucky State Police. the last time I was out there, even though when KSP patrols out there, I haven't seen any private property signs posted. But just because it's not posted doesn't mean it isn't, you know, private property. They've had a lot of problems out there over the past few years of people going out there tearing shit up, breaking gravestones, which I can't see why you would break a gravestone for, but some jackasses do it, think it's comical and fun. So KSP patrols out there a lot. So if you do happen to make your way out to this place, make sure it's during the daytime, because at least then you can give a good enough bullshit reason, excuse why you're out there, versus at nighttime when you really can't give a good reason. And if KSP catches you out there at nighttime, you know, you might give a reason why you're out there, but you're taking a ride back to town with them, and your vehicle's going to be sitting there till whoever comes and gets it. So just letting you know. Now, if you're like one of these paranormal groups, whatever, you can contact the Elizabethtown City Commerce, and you might be able to get a deal worked out where you can go out there and do some paranormal activity. I know there was one group of paranormals that's been out there. They were like the big time people, like you see at Waverly Hills, stuff like that, and they've been out there a couple of times. I don't know the exact recall or, you know, what the information they found or whatever, but a lot of that stuff, those ghost groups, you know, I take with a grain of salt. I've lived in a house that was haunted, you know, as a kid. I've been to places that were super haunted that I'll never go back to, which is Waverly Hills. Now, when I went to Waverly Hills a long time ago, it's totally different than it is now. Now it's like an empty shell of a building that people build this big hype on, and people spend outrageous amounts of money to go there to walk through an empty building. That's, you know, you might, maybe, and I'm saying maybe, you might encounter an activity or two of something of, you know, something of nothing. Before they before they gutted the sanitarium and changed all the stuff in there, yeah, there was a lot of activity in that place. And they had and this was before somebody bought it and tried doing stuff with it. They used to have 15-foot chain link fence wrapped around the property with canteen wire wrapped around the top of it, and they had dogs, and they actually had a armed security service up there that if they caught you up there, you'd go to jail. And but me and some friends found ways around it and little secret little runs into it, and we never got caught going up there as kids. Came close a few times, but never got caught. And back then, yeah, that place was a hot spot for ghosts. Now, it's, I don't know, there might be some ghosts in there still, but it's not like it used to be. But this isn't about Waverly Hills. This is about the Gates of Hell Cemetery. And there's been a lot of activity out there of different things other than the Klan. And other than a bunch of teenage kids going out there getting drunk and tearing up gravestones. There was one night I know for sure, this was comical. It was a summer night, and we were walking through the graveyard, and it was like very smack dab center of the graveyard. We stood there, and it was freezing ass cold. I mean, it was just like if you went outside in your underwear in the middle of winter time and stood there for about 5 minutes. That's about what it felt like. And it wasn't like in one spot sitting there. It's like, think of like a really slow linger, and that's about what it was like. And you know, man, it was like super ass cold, and you got goosebumps just standing there. And then after, you know, a couple of minutes, you know, it just kind of lingered past you, and you were back to normal, and it was nice and hot. But that's one of the things that I can say for a fact. I witnessed, I was there when it happened, and as creepy as it was, we should have left, but we didn't. We hung around. We tried to find some more creepy and odd and end things and stuff like that. But it's not an everyday thing. It doesn't happen all the time. It's like a whim. It's, it might happen and it might not. And that's the reason why. Oh, took me a nap today. Didn't work too much. But that's the reason why KSP goes out there now and patrols it like they do, because people go out there and just, well, anymore they just tear up shit and be disrespectful and everything else, and they're tired of it, which I don't blame them. I'll be tired of it too. But I just want to share this little bit of tidbit of information. Y'all, I mean, like I said, I'll post all the information I have on it, and I'll put my centerpiece of the picture on here if it'll work. I hope it does, and I hope it's not too big, and it won't say if file's too big, it won't load. So, but I'll be back eventually, and I got some other shit I want to share with y'all anyway. And I'll see y'all again soon. Have a great day.